hands do your work, and now my lips speak your truth. And now my life is the image of your love, Spirit, Spirit in me. Now my voice sings your song. Now my heart is at peace. Now my soul is the laughter of a child, Spirit, Spirit in me. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. Now my hands do your work. Now my lips speak your truth. Now my life is the image of your love, Spirit, Spirit in me. Now my voice sings your song. And now my heart is at peace. And now my soul is the laughter of a child, Spirit, Spirit in me. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. Now my hands do your work, and now my lips speak your truth. Now my life is the image of your love, Spirit, Spirit in me. Spirit, Spirit in me. Spirit in me.
Spirit in Me. I love that song by Michael Gott. Good morning and welcome to Unity of the Blue Ridge. I want to begin our time together in prayer. And so we just take this opportunity to say yes. We turn our awareness within this morning and give thanks for this one life, this one life in which we live and move and breathe and have our very being. We open up today to the gifts of Spirit that are available for us and to becoming more present to joy and what that means. And so we give thanks for this opportunity to be here together during this time, wherever we are. And for this, we say thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. My name is Darlene Strickland, and I'm the senior minister here at Unity of the Blue Ridge. And again, I want to welcome you and thank you for being with us. It's fall, and it's beautiful around here in Western North Carolina, and we are in week 3 of an 8-week fall study series based on the book titled The Book of Joy. This book took place, really, it was a culmination of the Desmond Tutu going to visit the Dalai Lama for his 80th birthday. They spent a week together, and during that time, the essence of this book was born. And what they sort of distilled is that there are 8 characteristics of heart and mind that really reveal themselves when we open to joy. The first week we talked about perspective. Last week we talked about humility. And this week we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that is humor and how that relates to our spirituality. There's a saying that says, in times like these, you need 3 things: a wishbone, a backbone, and a funny bone. And I don't know about you, but that is certainly true. We need hope, we need courage, and we need humor. They say in this book that laughter is the most direct line between 2 people. And humor, like humility, comes from the same root word for humanity, humus. Well, we're going to jump into this today, hopefully in a way that you'll find inspiring and meaningful. But in order to kick us off, we want to go back in time to a previously recorded service pre-COVID. I think we'll always say that for the rest of our lives, pre-COVID, when we were gathering here. And this is a beautiful song performed by Cat Williams, a song by Jamie Lula that says, "Something's Calling Me."
Something's calling me. Something's calling me. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Feels like I'm walking on marbles. Can't feel the earth beneath my feet. Is my head in the clouds, my beautiful legs dangling down. I can feel my heart begin to pound. Oh, something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Oh, at night it makes me wonder. Can't see the light that moves me on. If God is everything and everywhere that I belong, Spirit gently wakes me from my sleep. Oh, something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, oh Lord, take me deeper than I've ever been before. Than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, take me deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, take me deeper than I've ever been before. Love is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Compassion is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Faith keeps calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Oh, peace is calling me a little bit closer than I've ever been before. God is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before.
Yeah, I love that song. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Well, today joy is calling us, and we want to look at that through the lens of humor. And I want to start by saying this, and then sort of unraveling it, that humor helps us loosen our layers and laugh. That we loosen the way we identify with our layers, to be able to see through those layers of how we self-identify and laugh. I've always enjoyed a sense of humor. Most of my family members have a good sense of humor. When we're together, we laugh a lot, and that's a good thing because we have very differing views around a lot of things. So the ability to laugh keeps the heart open and finds ways to connect. And when I was in seminary, when I was first starting at Unity Institute, I was a student minister my very first year in St. Joseph, Missouri. It's the home of Pawnee Express, and another classmate and I were co-student ministers for that congregation. So every other Sunday, I would speak at Unity of St. Joseph. Well, it was a smaller congregation, and there were quite a few people that were former Catholics. And so they asked me one Sunday, if I would be willing to lead a special Unity Communion service. And this was leading up to Easter, and I'd never done anything like that, but hey, I was in seminary. I hadn't done a lot of the things I was doing. So I said, sure, I'll do that. I didn't really know what it would look like, but we set the date, and I thought about it, and I came up with what I thought would be a great title, and I would build the experience around it. And I called it a mystical cosmic communion. Well, the next couple days later, I got home from school one day, and I was checking my email, and I had 3 emails that came in from congregants from Unity of St. Joe. And the emails went something like this. Thank you. I've always wanted to laugh during communion. Brilliant, can't wait. I'm bringing friends. This will be so interesting and so healing. And I thought, what are they talking about? And as it turns out, they announced it, they misprinted it in the bulletin. Instead of saying mystical cosmic communion, everyone was invited to a mystical comic communion. And so I called Doug, my co-minister friend, and said, oh my God, they've announced a mystical comic communion, and all these people are telling me they're bringing friends and they're so excited to come. And he just laughed and he said, oh, the universe has your number. He said, that has you written all over it. And I sat with it and I thought about, okay, don't ever let a title get in the way of a good experience, but what was it there? And I asked myself, I didn't grow up Catholic. I didn't have a lot of communion. I had some communion experiences in the Pentecostal church, but it wasn't a real sacrament to me. And so I asked myself, what is communion? And for me, it's the common union. It's a time, it's a ritual to remind us, it's an outer ritual to remind us of an inner truth that there's a common union, a oneness between me and Spirit. There's a common union between me and my fellow brother and sisters. There's a common union between me and my own spiritual, multidimensional self. That's what communion was to me. And when I looked at it and I looked at comic and cosmic, what stood out was the letter S. And I thought, the difference is self. That the connection between communion and humor is in good spirits. If done in a good spirit, it helps you put yourself in a different perspective. It helps you see things in a way that does help connect you. And it turned out that when I led that communion service, I actually used that. I talked about that very thing, and it was very powerful and healing, how that the ordinary and the sacred are really one and the same. It's about how we see it and how we imbue the sacred in every aspect of our life. And humor has a way of helping create some space, helping us see through those layers and laugh at ourselves, laugh at what's going on in a healthy way. And it helps us build connections with others. That's why I believe in the scriptures. In Ecclesiastes it says, for everything there is a season, a time for every matter under the heavens, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to weep and a time to laugh. It goes on to talk about that laughter nurtures the spirit. And so, when so often in life, we identify with our somebody. I love that Ram Dass used to say, we all go through our somebody training. You have this sense of self, this sense of separate self of who you are, and then he would say at some point in your life, you probably go through therapy or something to unravel that, to discover who you really are. But most of us are very identified with our somebody self and what makes you somebody. We identify with our possessions, with our social status, our achievements, our limitations, our past, our job. We identify with so many things, and we come to think of ourselves as those layers. It's like we identify with the lampshade and forget that we're the light within the shade. That we identify with all those layers rather than the essential self, the essential being. So when we can learn to loosen our attachments to being identified with those layers, we can learn to laugh at those layers rather than being held so tight, those layers, having them there to defend us or protect us, to establish us, or to impress our own self or to impress somebody else. But when we learn to loosen up and let go of our attachment to all those layers, we're able to see through them. We're able to transcend the layers and to express with our spirit. That's why I believe that humor has the same root as humility and as humanity. And it comes from H-U-M-U-S, humus, the ground. And so today we want to talk a little bit about the healing power of humor. And I think it's important to make a very clear distinction that not all humor is good humor. I think perhaps maybe a very simple way to say this is that good humor is helpful. It's healing, and it builds connection. Connection within yourself and connection among people. That's good humor. Unhealthy humor creates hurt. It makes somebody the butt of our joke or the expense. We're laughing at them and not with them, so to speak. Unhealthy humor creates hurt and causes distance between people and distance within oneself. And so for me, that's a pretty easy way to remember. Is it healthy? Is it healing? And is it helping create some connections or not? Proverbs 17:22 says, "A merry heart does good like medicine." And, we've all heard the phrase, laughter is the best medicine. And actually, there's some truth to that laughter and humor literally does lift your spirit. It builds connection. It's been proven to soothe tension. It lowers blood pressure. Laughing releases endorphins and helps increase our immune system. It boosts our creativity. It helps reduce pain. It improves your mood. There's a proverb that says, "She who laughs lasts." Lasts. He or she who laughs lasts. That we're hardwired for humor and laughter. If you think about it, laughter is very natural. Young babies within a few weeks old will begin to laugh. Even blind and deaf babies will laugh. Laughter is one of the first things we do, and hopefully it's one of the last things that we do before we leave this earthly body. I know of a woman who had shared her story. I heard her story, and she grew up, she's a minister today, she grew up in a very strict church, a Baptist church that was very strict when she was growing up. And to her, spiritual life was very austere. It was very somber, filled with lots of self-denial. And she considered herself very religious. She truly loved her God. She loved her Jesus. But she also struggled with feelings of resentment and jealousy. She struggled knowing that she held a lot of judgment toward herself and others. And she honestly had a lot of depression. And so she had heard that, journaling was a good outlet. So in her morning prayer time, she started journaling. And she talked about one day as she started to journal, it was as if she didn't use the word channeling, but what she described is it was almost as if she started channeling. She started writing, it just flowed through her as if the God of her being was speaking through her. And this is what she wrote. She wrote, "Dear child, I appreciate all of your spiritual efforts. The custom prayer cushion, the altar, the scripture reading, the anointing oil, and the prayers. But something is missing. I feel this in you. You feel empty. Where is the fire? Where is the intimacy? Where is the joy? Have you noticed we don't laugh together anymore? Look around. I created the platypus, the porcupine, and the peacock spider. Hey, I created Jerry Falwell and Jerry Springer. Really, look around. Let your spirit be lifted. Let yourself laugh." She said something in her opened up during that time, and she realized that, perhaps that her spirituality didn't have to be an either or, that it was a both and. That there was a part of her that could be fully dedicated and worship the way she felt called to worship, but also to open up to the goodness, to the joy of life, and to begin to laugh. It literally led to a huge transformation in her life. And so, have we forgotten how important it is to lighten up and to laugh, especially when there's so much polarization and tension around? And I'm not saying that we do this as a way of ignoring it or pretending it's not there or not making fun at. It's not an either or, it's a both and. That in order to be really present to the serious things, the heavy things in life, you also need to be capable and able of opening up to the joy and the laughter of life. That's why children can just bawl their eyes out and cry, then have their heart broken, and 2 minutes later be giggling and laughing. They both are cathartic. They both flow so easily. But that's not necessarily the case in most adults. And so what inhibits us from having a healthy sense of humor? And what would happen if we did? What would happen if you did? Ernest Holmes, who wrote The Science of Mind in 1927, wrote, "Live the life that God gave you. It is ample and complete. Live, love, and laugh. Let your heart be free. Rejoice in the thought of life and be happy. Realize God, actualize God in and through all, with unity in the whole. Why take fragments when the whole is here for the asking? Why let life be so heavy, so to speak? Why let yourself be seduced into an either or? It's a both and. There is joy and sorrow. There's a time to mourn and dance. There's a time to cry and laugh." And this week we really want to focus on, are we as comfortable with healthy humor and laughter? And could we use a good dose of lightening up? And so I want to let's look at some points that to help make it practical in our life. The first is if we have a healthy sense of humor, it helps us become more open and receptive and get to the heart of the matter. Having a healthy sense of humor helps you be more open and receptive and get to the heart of the matter. As the Dalai Lama said, laughter is the most direct line between two people. I would also say that laughter in yourself, if you're really present to the laughter, it comes from a place in you, just that belly laugh, genuine laughter. There's no layers. It just flows from the inner depths of your being. It opens you up. Georgetown University is known for having a renowned conflict resolution program. And they've identified humor as playing a significant role in peace building because it helps people let those walls down. We become real. We become receptive. That, you know, when we share laughter, it signals that we connected about something. If it's for seconds or just moments, it boosts our sense of connection. I had a real realization around this. I mean, looking back, I've got so many, but in a previous life, a previous career, I worked for a children's toy company based out of Sweden, Brio, and I traveled a lot around the United States, and we had a client in Tennessee, and they were complaining, very upset. They owed the company a lot of money. They were refusing to pay their bill, and so they said they were going to fly me in to figure this out. And it's like, I did not like that kind of stuff, having to deal with it. But I flew into Memphis, Tennessee. We had someone in the company that took care of the flights and the hotel, so I just, went with where I was supposed to be. So I arrive in Memphis, Tennessee, check into this hotel called the Peabody. And the universe has such a sense of humor. If you know this hotel, it is known for having ducks. The Peabody Hotel in Memphis, Tennessee, up on the top, they have what is called a duck palace. And twice a day, in the morning and in the afternoon, there's the duck master. They roll out red carpet and they play John Philip Sousa's King Cotton March. They play this big band march, and these ducks literally come down an elevator, they open the door, and then they march out the red carpet and go to a central area, and then they reverse that later in the day. Well, I didn't know that, and then I arrived at this place midday, and the owner of that company was going to meet me there at 5 o'clock for dinner. So I was waiting out front, and just as he arrived, this music starts, and neither of us know what's going on. They roll out the red carpet, and here comes the ducks. And so I'm nervous. I was much younger, and I, dealing with those things at that time in my life, and I was so nervous about, here's this person that's mad with our company, and I'm the one they sit to try to figure it out, and here's this guy who's, upset with our company, and we're both standing there waiting for the ducks. And it just struck me, I don't know, I'm sure most of you have had this happen, but have you ever been at a funeral or somewhere and just laughter? It seemed inappropriate. But I was feeling so uptight, and when I saw those cute little ducks, it just struck me so funny. I could not stop laughing. I was laughing, and kids and everybody that was there, it was charming, and everybody was laughing. Finally, this guy started laughing. He had his arms crossed the whole time, and when they finished, he said, "Those damn ducks are very charming and pretty disarming." and we got a good laugh together. I felt so much better going into that meeting. And what I realized is we were able to get to the heart of the matter. Recently, just a few months ago, I was teaching a Zoom class here, or not really a class, it was a forum. Coach Wanda Marie and I were coming together and bringing together conversation about blacks and whites, the racial tension. This is all what happened right after George Floyd, and we really wanted to create a safe space to talk about that. And so we were talking about it, a number of people online on Zoom, and people were saying, you know, when I tried to have a conversation with my neighbor and I don't know how to approach them, and Coach Wanda Marie spoke up and said, you know, this is when it's important to remember the power of humor. She said, you just don't take yourself so seriously, just lighten up. And you could feel it kind of go through the sound waves, and everybody just said, yeah, that's right. To just learn to lighten up a little bit, to not take ourselves so seriously. The economist John Kenneth Galbraith tells a story that during the Soviet missile crisis, when the American and Soviet delegates, they were there meeting, talking about trade between the two companies when news of the missile crisis hit. And so here are these people, a missile crisis hits, and they're talking about something else, and all of a sudden there's incredible tension between everybody in that room. And they said, John said, finally one of the Soviet delegates rather timidly raised his hand and said, I suggest we each go around the room and tell a joke. And they said he started with a joke. It was kind of lame, but people chuckled. But by the time they got around the room, they said the tension was released, everybody was relaxed, and they could focus again on what they were there to do. They were there to work together. You can see the power that when we can put things in perspective, it allows us to get to the heart of the matter even faster. And so that first thing is to realizing that healthy humor helps us become more receptive. We're open, we're receptive, and we can get to the heart of the matter. It peels those layers. The second thing about humor is that it helps us create fresh perspective. It helps you get unstuck. There's a prayer that Pope Francis is known for praying, and it was written by St. Thomas More in the 15th century. And the prayer says, grant me, O Lord, good digestion and something to digest. Grant me a healthy body and the necessary good humor to maintain it. Grant me a simple soul that knows to treasure all that is good and that doesn't frighten easily at the sight of evil, but rather finds the means to put things back in their place. Give me a soul that knows not boredom or grumblings or sighs or laments, that does not take excuse and stress because of that obstructing thing called I. Grant me, O Lord, a good sense of humor. Allow me the grace to be able to take a joke, to discover in life a bit about joy, and to be able to share it with others. Humor helps us shift our perspective. It opens us up. And so, we have to ask ourselves, where are we stuck? How are we being called to move through that? I love to laugh, and I intentionally seek out things. And, if you're on the internet, there's plenty of things you can do. I was recently looking at texts that people sent that had been auto-corrected or they misunderstood something, and they were funny. They were so hilarious. And one of them, it started like this. A woman sent a text to her daughter, and it said, I wanted to let you know that Grandma is now resting in peace. She died this morning. LOL. The daughter said, OMG, Mom, why is that funny? The mom said, it's not funny. What do you mean? And she said, Mom, you put LOL. She said, yes. Grandma died, honey. Lots of love. And she said, oh my God, is that what you think LOL means? Mom, LOL means laugh out loud. Her mom then said, OMG, I need to go. I texted Grandma died LOL to over 30 people today. And it's, things like that, just learning to take yourself lightly and the power of that. So when we think about humor, it helps us become receptive, to connect, to get to the heart of things. It helps us create space, fresh perspective, to get unstuck, not take yourself so seriously. And perhaps the biggest thing, at least it's the biggest thing for me, I don't know, they're all big, the connecting, but reminding us to lighten up and to realize that we're bigger than the situation. When you can laugh when something happens, when you can find the irony in it, when you can find the absurdity in it and still find some genuine way to laugh, it helps loosen the layers to allow imagination, to allow your spirit, the Holy Spirit, to help lead you and guide you. I had a real profound experience with this about 10 years ago. I got that dreaded diagnosis, that scary C word that required a surgery and then going through radiation treatment. And if you know anything about anyone that's been through radiation for cancer, typically you have to be there 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, the exact time every day, and the schedule, and it lasts for 5 to 9 weeks on average. So for several weeks, you are there 5 days a week, the exact same time, got to get that treatment. And so when I started this process, first thing you do is you go in to this locker room. They have a ladies' locker room and a men's locker room, and you go in and you put all your stuff in a locker and get your little key and you put on your robe. And then you sit in this waiting room with other patients who are there, whether their diagnosis is for whatever it may be it breast cancer, bladder cancer, there were people in there with prostate cancer, skin, bowel, lungs, everything. But what's in common is you're sitting there in that very humbling clothing in a waiting room getting ready to go for your radiation. Well, because it lasts a number of weeks and you're there at the same time, what tends to happen is you're there with a lot of the same people. Now, there's always new people coming and some people completing, but you're in there with lots of people kind of at the same time. And I, had prayed, was very clear with my guidance. I had a really good outlook, and I had peace in my soul, but I was dreading going because sitting in that waiting room, sometimes they could get backed up and you could have to wait an hour. And it was always so somber and dreary, and the energy was so heavy. And so one day I spoke to the man beside me, and he said his name was Scotty. And when he got ready to leave, I said, they're going to beam you up, Scotty. And he chuckled, and he said, don't make me laugh. He said, for my radiation, my bladder has to be full. And when he said that, everybody in the room kind of chuckled lightly. Well, something happened that day. Something broke in a good way. And what ensued, and I did, and they did too, is we decided, without talking about it, but something so powerful happened in that little moment of laughter, of shared laughter, that we all started becoming intentionally humorous. When we came in, we would tell little jokes. We would talk about what was happening, the irony of these weird things. It became like the whole group would, when somebody was leaving, everybody would say, may the force be with you, or something like that, And then when you're having a radiation treatment, you're smiling. It lifts your spirit. And if you'll give me that song, Tia. I reflected as a few weeks, I got to where I loved that group of people. And one of my favorite writers is Anthony DeMilo. And I had saved a poem that he wrote. And during the time that I was going through this, I stumbled across this poem. And I want to share it with you today because to me, it really speaks to the power of humor and the the Spirit. He says, the disciples sought to learn from the Master the stages he had passed through in his quest for the divine. The Master replied, God first led me by the hand into the land of action, and there I dwelt for several years. Then God returned and led me to the land of sorrows. There I lived until my heart was purged of every inordinate attachment. That's when I found myself in the land of love, whose burning flames consumed whatever was left in me of self. This brought me to the land of silence, where the mysteries of life and death were bared before my wondering eyes. What was the final stage of your quest? They asked. One day God said, today I shall take you to the innermost sanctuary of the temple, to the very heart of God, and I was led to the land of laughter. You see, I got it. Because during that time, I also had a little undershirt, t-shirt printed that said, I don't want to be perfect. I want to be genuine. And what was happening to us as a group of people through that laughter is there was no facade. There was no hiding. There was no trying to pretend that each and every one of us aren't going to die someday through some way. But there was an embracing the preciousness of life. There was seeing one another and the common dilemma in which we all live, that we are human, born of suffering, and we are divine, born of bliss. And this life is walking in both. That's the joy of humor and the spirit of laughter. I invite you, if it's comfortable, to close your eyes. Each and every one of us carry many things throughout our days. Our weeks may change, and just as the season changes color, or our life goes through seasons, but we always carry things. We carry concerns for this. We carry apprehension about this. We carry feelings of uncertainty. We carry thoughts about what does it mean to be fully present and alive. We carry our hopes and our dreams. And in the midst of all of this, and at all times and in all ways, we are always being carried. That no matter what it is we carry within us, it is but a small blip on the radar, as a piece of sand on the vast ocean. That whatever we carry is so small, truly, in comparison to what carries us to that in which we live and move and have our being. When one will allow themselves to fully look at their life without trying to hide, without trying to put on any colored glasses, there is a joyfulness, a spaciousness that emerges. That's why so many saints are called the laughing Buddha or the laughing Dalai Lama. There's a joy that bubbles up, that is present in the midst of whatever we may find ourselves carrying. And in this day and in this time, we need that joy. We need to be in conscious communion with this sacred force which lives and moves and has its life in and through and as us, so that we can be present to one another, connecting at the heart of the matter, so that we can create space and take ourselves a little more lightly, and so that we can remember that whatever is before us is tiny in comparison to that which is within us and that in which we live and move and have our being. So we give thanks for the ability to laugh, to find that which is laughable in a wholesome way. And so in this beautiful nature of life itself, we say, thank you, God, and so it is. I want to thank you for your willingness to laugh with me and to cry with me. For your willingness to be real, that in our pursuit of allowing the spirit of joy, we're willing to examine our relationship with humor, with laughter, in that good spirit. I want to thank today Donna, Acela, Tia for being here with me to make this happen. And most of all, we want to thank all of you for being here with us. We want to remind you that if you're in the area next Sunday, weather permitting, we're going to have an outdoor service. Reverend Christie's actually going to be leading that service next Sunday, but our band will be here. It will be outdoors, up on the playground. They'll be up on the playground, and then you can just bring your mask, your chair, your lawn chair. We'll have spaces for you to spread out safely. So if you're in the area, I hope you can make it. If not, no worries. We'll be live streaming that service. I also want to thank you for your continued financial support. We are in the black this fall, this time of year. We're very thankful for that. Our Raise the Roof project, if you haven't been by here lately, it's just amazing. You can check out our Facebook page too. There's a video aerial view of some of the things that are going on, but things are really progressing. So I want to thank you for your continued support, and just thank you for the way that you are living your highest and best. We're going to wrap it up with our very own Cat Williams and our Unity Band from a previous service where she's singing an Eddie Watkins song that says, "It's a New Day." May you be blessed.
Every day around the world to create this world we live in. So now I'll start claim and speak our word and release it to the universe. Right here is where we take a stand. Compassion for our fellow man. Right here we're making a difference. Oh, it's a new day. All together hand in hand. Sing our love across this wonderland. Right here we're making a difference. Oh, it's a new day. Every day is filled with wonder by the glory of the silent thunder unfolding from down under. Oh, from down under. Right here is where we take a stand. Compassion for our fellow man. Right here we're making a difference. Oh, it's a new day. All together hand in hand. Sing our love, yeah, across the land. Right here we're making a difference. Oh, it's a new day. Yeah, yeah, it's a new day. Oh, it's a new day. I is a new day. Oh, it's a new